Hello viewers, I'm SB and welcome back to Total War Warhammer 2, where our campaign against our internal irritants is going, like, pretty well. What do we actually have in these buildings? Okay, I think we probably don't need this. We'll build a growth building there, and that'll give us a little bit of replenishment rate as well, so that we can gear up for the final assault on Vulture Mountain. Unfortunately, there's a lot of dwarves out there. This guy has nobody in his army right now, but that's certainly not going to be true for very long. And then, actually, there's a... how are we going to deal with this? They have a ton of units. What does the garrison of Vulture Mountain look like? They have an organ gun. They have quite a lot of ranged units with guns. They have flamethrowers. How are we going to do this? Well, I suppose maybe we're going to have another army to back us up. We might have to just do a very, very large battle against Vulture Mountain to wrap this situation. Alright, we know where you're going. One of our old wounded skink chiefs is ready for duty again, and honestly, I don't know. I don't know what I want him to do. I suppose... You know what? He could come with us. Actually, let's have him head for Vulture Mountain as directly as possible. And he's reasonably good at assassinating. Maybe we can take out a couple of dwarven characters before the battle begins. Uldomoran is... let's see. I mean, I would like to go over and harass the orcs some more, because that was doing pretty well for our, relationships with the other factions. Let's go have a look at Karakzorn. Let's see how bad the situation is over here. We'll stay on our side of the line for the moment. Okay. They have a small, weak army hanging out outside, which we can lightning strike. And then Karakzorn itself only has a small garrison. They got some thunderers and stuff, but we can handle this. What about this army that is in the city? Okay, that army is actually quite large. Maybe our play here is... Well, obviously we can't do anything this turn. We don't have enough movement. Let's just go into ambush mode, because we like to sit around in ambush mode. Next turn, maybe we declare war, we run over, we kill this army, and then we run away. We try to bait their big army out of Karakzorn. I don't know how else we're going to deal with them. Maybe, actually, the play here is we try not to fight Karakzorn, because it looks like it would be a huge pain to crack. They're pretty negative on us, though. They will declare war if we wander away. Yeah, that's not ideal. Alright, so over here, I think we probably want Krokgar to just step right outside and go into encampment mode, so that we can have these two armies close together. And yeah, it's going to take us a minute to get our replenishment. The growth building will certainly help. And yeah, we have enough money to upgrade that. Oh, right, we have to make our final hiring decision here, don't we? So we have 2 slots left in this army, or 3 slots, rather, left in this army that we know we want to make use of. So the question is, what do we do with them? Right now, we're a little bit low on units that can just hold stuff in place while the dinosaurs do their thing. So maybe we just want to get more sources? It's also possible that we should grab more big terrifying dinosaurs, although I do think we're on a little bit of a time crunch here. I mean, we probably want to get this army into place quickly. If we hire a couple more units of Sauruses to hold the ground, then we can just get moving immediately. I think that's what I'm going to do. So we have 3 units of spears already. Probably we should go shields from here, just because we're going to be fighting dwarves, not big monsters. And we need to get a weapon crafters commune in here. So probably the smart play is to just demolish the salt building, even though it is our only source of salt. Maybe we could afford to take down the walls instead, or the garrison building, because it's a major settlement, so it will always have walls. Right now, this is providing 6 units, so it would have a 10-unit garrison with walls. Probably it is the case that any enemies that ran over here to attack it would still have to sit outside the gates for a turn and build up and get themselves some siege towers. So we would have time to respond and bring armies back. No, with Chaos armies spawning right here, potentially, I think that's unsafe. Let's just demolish the Saltworks, even though that is going to take a chunk out of our trade income. And we'll build our Weapon Crafters commune there. Okay, Krepus is right where Krepus needs to be. So what else do we want to do here? We have a lot of money to work with. How is this going? We could do a pylon upgrade in Khemri. Oh, the Black Pyramid's upgraded. We had to build some stuff here. We do have the money to try the Vault of Nagash. 10% magic resistance everywhere. Plus 30 wins of magic power reserve everywhere. That is honestly pretty nice to have. We would drive the corruption up considerably here, and that would also drive it up in all of the surrounding regions, because there's a little bit of corruption osmosis that occurs. I just don't know if I care that much. Like, we already have pretty good Winds of Power magic reserve in a lot of our armies. I don't think the 10% magic resistance matters that much. Yeah, I'm not going to bother building this. We should, however, build ourselves a Geomantic Pylon. That is for sure. And probably also a Sacrificial Altar of Sotek, because we should have those everywhere. Do we want to upgrade this? I don't think that we need to. Why is this even here? This region doesn't have great monetary output. I don't know that we need this here. You know what? I'm going to break this down. I guess, what would I do instead? What would I be breaking it down for? We could put in a defensive structure. Yeah, I guess there's not a lot of reason to tear it down, is there? Okay, whatever. We'll leave it. So Khemri, we're just waiting on more population here, really. What about in our newly owned region? Okay, Granite Massif could definitely stand to have a proper money-making building in it, and we do want to put up one of these as well. Oh, it reduces the recruitment cost for Saurus units. And reduces the upkeep for Saurus units in all army at max rank. That's pretty cool. We're at 100 points of growth per turn. Do I want to throw down... Yeah, let's throw down another foraging camp. And upgrade this one. I mean, it's pretty cheap to do so. The thing is, we're not really in a huge hurry to get growing. Maybe I don't need this at all. I don't know what else to do with the slots. Alright, over here... 17 turns until we hit max population for Lamia. That's a little ridiculous. What else would we build here? I don't know that we really need anything over here. I suppose an upgrade to the pylon. Or, well, hold on. What's the web look like? Okay, if we upgraded the pylon here and we eventually build a pylon in Karagor, they will be able to push each other up. And the pylon does have value in itself on account of this region producing quite a lot of money. Wait a minute, wait a minute. This is probably a better direct upgrade. Okay, so pretty soon here we're going to have... we can turn taxation back on here, but I guess there's not really a lot of strong reason to do that. Maybe we want to do that thing I said and just temporarily recruit a lord. We'll make no money at all the turn we do that, but we do want to resettle Resetra. Let's not worry about it right this second. So, like, do we want to declare war on Carrick Zorn and see if we can bait their armies forward to attack the Lost Plateau? No, I probably want to start by killing one of their armies, if we are going to do this at all. So let's see what the dwarves do. I would love for this conflict to come to a swift end. It'll probably take like 2 or 3 turns for Ratok to reach Vulture Mountain. I don't know if that Skink Priest is going to catch up with him in time. I suppose one thing we could try to do is set up an ambush in front of the Eye of the Panther. If it looks like an undefended minor settlement with no walls, maybe they'll Able to send the army out to capture it. That would be awfully handy. Because if this guy's just going to sit here and muster, and he builds up into a real full stack, neither of the armies over here have Lightning Strike, I don't think. But that might not be right. Because we have a lot of blue points in at least one of these armies. Maybe we do have Lightning Strike available. Or I guess it's actually just Yarick's army, right? And oh, I think Yarick does not have Lightning Strike. And the other army over here is Hrothgar, who definitely does not have the blue points for it. So yeah, we're going to have a hard time picking off their reinforcement army. Yeah, I'm not really sure how we deal with this. We definitely have to. So just have to be overwhelming force of arms. Do I want to just take a defensive alliance with these guys and be cool? You know what? Yeah, probably. Fine. After all this time, we'll just be friends. The Dune Kingdoms can survive forever as a sort of informal vassal state. They do have a gemstone mine. I would love to take it, but it's just a lot of... It's a lot more fighting in our own backfield and not expanding our power into the rest of the world. Ah, they didn't do anything. That's a shame. Okay, these guys would like a proper military alliance. I don't think we should do that. Yeah, I'd be willing to do a defensive alliance. I am not willing to do a military alliance. The dwarves really like them, so making treaties with them is good. Can I suggest a counter-offer of, instead of this, a defensive alliance and also military access? And also, since it seems like you're kind of into this idea, maybe you would pay us for the privilege? Okay. Likelihood low. Let's try a slightly smaller amount of money. Okay. There we go. Treaties with them will drag our dwarf reputation up. So now if someone attacks them, we are bound to come to their aid, but we do not have to, we do not have to go to their aid if they decide to attack someone else. It's always really dangerous to take a military alliance, especially with a relatively distant nation, because they may, once they have your very impressive army at their back, decide that all of a sudden they want to bully their neighbors, and then them bullying their neighbors turns into a bunch of wars they can't win that you get dragged into, or when they declare the wars, you can decide to break the alliance at that time, but that also murders your diplomatic standing. Okay, so we haven't checked in on... Oh, the Doom Tide. The Chaos Horde has poured in, a remorseless tide, scourging all in its path. Yet even the most savage flood must eventually recede, leaving battered survivors to pick through the flotsam on ravaged shores. We are saved, they cry, heedless of the fact that tides are certain in one respect. They will always rise again. The old world has survived the onslaught, yet now another wave rolls forth from the accursed chaos wastes, and there's going to be quite a few such waves. Alright, if we can defeat Enleg Gundrickson, we'll get a small leadership bonus for a few turns. Not really anything I'm worried about pursuing. And we ended up with quite a lot of money. More money than I thought we were going to have here. Okay, well we can get him closer to lightning strikes, so what do we want here? I guess fervent? I don't think any of these are actually valuable. He can fight corruption in his local region. So we don't have to have him pick up the Regiment of Renown until he is at the very edge of our own territory. So yeah, let's just head directly toward the threat. Where is that priest? Around here somewhere, isn't he? Oh no, he's like incredibly far away. Well, or I tell you to move to here? Yeah, just like take that path. That's a long, long way to run. Maybe it's not worth it to have Hextalk come over here. I'm just thinking by the time he actually arrives, the situation will probably be resolved, right? Don't know what else we do with him. But yeah, I don't think this is right. Go ahead and go for the river crossing. Yeah, I don't really want to fight Karakzorn. But they're definitely going to declare war on me eventually, right? And they do not like the Dune Kingdoms. That's always going to be a problem. Yeah, I think we have to fight them. I had to figure out a way to do this that makes sense. Alright, we'll declare war. Go over here. Pick off their external army. Lightning strike should be totally trivial. And then, like I said, I think what we do here is back off and try to bait them forward. So our skink chief, protection of the old ones, I guess? Doesn't have any useful skill points at all to take anymore. And the same is basically true of you. We can make... Yeah, we don't have the best version of Wissen's wild form yet. The Overcast allows it to be an area effect spell, which is actually pretty useful. Oh, interesting. I put myself inside of the attack zone of the city. And now we can't leave. Attacking the enemy is our only option. Well, here's what we can do. We can say we're going to attack the city and then break the siege, and that will force us backward a little bit. It'll get us outside of their reinforcement zone. I'm going to move until we have 28% movement left. We go into... I guess there's two options here. We could just go into reinforcement mode, or into ambush mode right here and hope that that works. Or we could fall back and get our... We can fall back to just barely our own territory. I think let's do that. Let's get a full turn of replenishment here and see how the dwarves respond. Right, you are just headed for Orktown. Oh, Krepus has another level up. I suppose I'll just finish off Iron Disciplinarian. I think, yeah, Public Order and Skaven Blight is pretty under control at this point. It's going to take a very long time for us to finish growing. What do we want to build here? It's probably just the defensive structure, right? City needs to be able to stand up to attack from northerners, who apparently are never going to stop bothering us. And then, with 10,000 remaining gold, we are quite a few turns away from being able to upgrade Sartosa. We don't actually even need this building anymore. Yeah, I'm inclined to demolish that, and we'll figure out some other stuff to put in there. Here, we will build a weapon crafter's commune, so that we can actually hire Temple Guard. And then, once we've done that, we'll probably end up replacing a bunch of the sources in the armies with Temple Guard. And yeah, this is totally worth upgrading, especially there being a gold mine in this province. I guess it would be really nice to be able to build a pylon in Alhaik. Yeah, but it's not worth demolishing anything for. Once the pylon here is finished, we'll be able to upgrade this to level 4, and then the Black Pyramid and Khemri can keep each other leveled up. Alright, so what do we want to do with these two? Well, first of all, we got to remember to build our casualty replenishment rate structure. And I guess they just hang out for another turn. We should probably not be in march mode, although I don't know that it's going to matter. It's going to be a couple more turns in Yeah, it's going to be a couple more turns just sitting around before we're even ready to try to set an ambush. Very unfortunate.
Not likely.
And they're recruiting very quickly, in fact. This is going to be tough. This is probably going to be the toughest battle that we've faced yet. You know, if they could have just been happy for the success of their friends and maintained the non-aggression pact, this all could have been avoided. All of this nonsense could have been avoided. Unfortunately, there is no way to get a group of people who are not your faction to just, like, become a vassal state, as far as I'm aware. Like, we can't make these dwarves be cool with us being powerful. The Khemri are the only faction who are willing to be happy for others, which is kind of a strange thing when you put it that way. Alright, that is the Dwarf King there. He's on the march. Although, he only has a half stack of troops. I kind of wish he was on the march with a few more units. But he'll probably be able to do something useful. Somehow, the court of Liberis is spread as far as Valea's Sorrow. There's a weird mishmash of different factions that own the things in this area. The Badlands is always a slaughter. It's always a place where, like, there's just constant war. Oh, man. Oh. Really? Huh. Well, this will damage our diplomatic standing with some of our allies a little bit, but a non-aggression pact from the elves is actually nice. And I don't mind the 750 gold that they paid us either. Yeah, getting a little bit of warning before the elves decide to dump a bunch of stacks of powerful archers on us would be a good thing. And who knows, maybe the points of positive reputation from the non-aggression pact will be enough to make them not ever do that at all. I'm not going to hold my breath on that, because going crazy and trying to murder everyone nearby is sort of the dominant wood elf character trait. But a little warning helps. So at some point, once we have defensive structures around Skaven Blight and public orders like really under control and everything, it'll be reasonable for Krepus and his army to leave and do other stuff. Hopefully we'll see that happen pretty soon. I don't know exactly what we would use them for, but I'm sure we can find something. They run another Dwarf Lord out, who we could easily assassinate. Yeah, there's absolutely no way to get them to give us Carrick Zorn peacefully, and I think that battle would actually be pretty tough. If we could just get the army to come out and face them in the field. I'm actually really worried about them. Fighting the army is going to be the hardest part of that. The garrison is a total non-issue. And I guess part of the upside of being engaged in this war in the mountains here is that if the Puppets of Chaos, who spawned again in the same place as they always do, actually come after us, at least we have armies in position to do something about it. So recruit a Saurus Scar veteran in order to get some very tiny bonuses to Saurus Scar veterans for a little while. That's a type of hero that we don't actually have any of. But I also don't necessarily think it's a type of hero that's particularly valuable. Alright, actually, you should probably cross the river here. He's going to have to join up with that army considerably further south than I had been planning on. Lost Plateau has a 5-unit garrison. And we are going to intentionally not do anything about that. We can try going into ambush mode and just hope that the dwarf heroes don't see through it. We don't really have anybody nearby who could potentially kill this guy. Don't have any hero recruiting buildings. Yeah, these dwarf agents are going to be a little bit of an issue for us. Again, we're just very underdeveloped in terms of agent control.
No, I will not shame my clan.
Yeah, I'm definitely worried about the Quarrelers. They have a lot of ranged. So do we want to go down there and just kill this dwarf army trivially, or do we want to... I'm going to sit in place, go into ambush mode, hope that it works, hope that we can draw this army out, and if we can, then we can finish the job very quickly after that. And if we can't, then there's not really a lot of value in going down there to attack the single lord who is mustering right now. We can kill that army after he has generated a couple of units and do a little bit more economic damage to them that way. Okay, Ratok is actually pretty close. How are you guys doing on replenishments? Now we're getting there. The building is definitely helping quite a bit. If we upgrade it, it gains... okay, only another 1%. Honestly, 1180, that's maybe worthwhile. we're going to have to repair the population in the area anyway after we finish the war. So maybe next turn we get aggressive? 6 turns until we have our double move available. Yeah, I think next turn is when we consider the forward movement. Hrothgar will be just about refilled. Yarrick will only have 2 units that are... And they'll both be at like 90%. Let's have a look at Crepus's situation over here. Skavenblight is receiving 10 points of public order for military presence. So actually, if we leave, it will totally be fine. So we could have Crepus go out and search for C-Rex or something. I don't know. It's probably the case that we'd want to hire more units before we do that, though. Just in case we run into another one of those where in order to get the good treasure you have to fight. We're still trending upward pretty hard. Oh, I would love a defensive alliance. Could we do... what if I paid you? A defensive alliance with the dwarves would be really good for us. What if I gave you all of my money?
No.
Okay, but I mean, it's turning yellow. Hopefully we'll get there eventually. And I believe our fortunes are only falling with Tilia at this point. Oh no, they're holding steady.
So,
Steady's not going to get us that trade agreement, though. Yeah, we got to get back to harassing the orcs. Alright, let's see if the dwarves of Carrickzorn fall for our cunningly laid trap. Let's all cross our fingers and desperately hope that the dwarves of Carrickzorn fall for our cunningly laid trap. My guess is that they will not. I think there's a pretty good chance that the ambush doesn't get foiled, because we really do have very good hiding skills. But I bet he's just not ever going to come out of there. Which is definitely going to leave us in kind of a rough spot as far as taking that place over. We could try to just be very, very careful on the attack. I think one of the things that will probably work in our favor is that the AI really loves to put all of their ranged units on the wall. So if their ranged units mostly have pretty limited mobility and pretty limited aiming angles, maybe we could take advantage of that somehow. Do enough damage to their backfield to try to force a surrender or something. So like get into the center of town and try to kill their lord, kill whatever siege crew and other stuff they're holding back. But they have so many units of range that I'm concerned that they'll keep some in reserve. We'll end up getting our flying units a little torn up fighting them, and then we'll still have all the ranged units on the wall to deal with. And I don't know that it is super beneficial to us to try to blitz through the walls. Oh, hey! The Dune Kingdoms are helping. The Dune Kingdoms and Carrickzorn are at war, I believe. Maybe we could try to, now that we're properly allied, we could try to talk them into helping us out here? Yeah, we'll try that. With people that you are either defensively or militarily allied with, you can set attack and defense waypoints. So we might be able to draw one of their armies over into range and use them as backup, have them absorb some of the casualties, perhaps. Okay, interesting. He swapped the armies. The one that was outside is now inside. What is the value of that? Oh! Oh, that's very interesting. He moved Thrund Holdfast's army outside of the city, so now we could attack them with Lightning Strike and not have to deal with the garrison at the same time. That may indeed be our play. Because if we break that army down and we suffer anything other than, like, totally brutal losses, we could just roll the garrison really, really easily. I don't know why the AI is always doing that. It's always, like, flipping their armies around. But you see that pretty frequently. Alright, it seems like once again, it might be the case that the Puppets of Chaos are just pushing westward. I thought for sure we were going to have to deal with some of those. Alright, a Bray Herd has spawned. Up in someone else's territory. Not my problem. Capture and occupy Carrick Zorn for a grand 500 gold worth of... Really? That's it? That's all we could get for that? Terrible. Oh, we're one turn away from finishing our extremely lucrative technology. So, at the moment, this army is 6 units of Quarrelers, 5 of which have great weapons. And then a bunch of, honestly, not that great melee troops. I think we can take them. I think this is going to crack it. Lightning Strike is so good some of the time. Yeah, honestly, we maybe could even just take a good auto-resolve here. So we have to be a little careful with the great weapon guys. One of the things that makes our Carnosaur as good at fighting infantry as he is that he has 105 armor, but almost all of their melee troops are heavily armor-piercing. Even the archers have heavily armor-piercing melee attacks. So we have to be pretty careful how we commit him. He's not going to be able to just wander into the Quarrelers and tear them apart with no damage. And the Giant Slayers are actually going to be really, really effective against him. A 30-point bonus versus large, on top of already having very impressive melee attack. Yeah, Jesus, okay. Giant Slayers kill a dinosaur really quickly. I'm gonna quick save. We'll see what the auto resolve gives us, and if it's bad, we'll reload and fight it manually. But obviously, like, we have a limited amount of time here. Wow, it really tore apart my flying units in a way that I was not expecting. I think I'm okay with that outcome. So we got torn up a little bit more than I thought we might. Do we want to go straight into the other attack? They have Thunderers. They have Iron Breakers. This army has a unit of Quarrelers. I think we can just go straight into it. We're just going to have to be a little cautious with our flyers is all. Hey, attack. Attack? Attack. There we go. For some reason, that time it worked. Alright, the game is not super sanguine about our chances. I am considerably more so. I think we got this. And this will put this war to bed and allow us to actually refocus Tiktaq'to on other stuff. Remember when we had some idea that Tiktaq'to might be allowed to participate in the rest of the game? Maybe it's actually happening. So, I think this is a situation where we totally do want to have the Carnosaur just rush the gate. We want to get inside as quickly as possible. We outnumber them and their troops are not particularly good. We want to get our 2 units of Sauruses and our Carnosaur and our various spitting characters in there as quickly as possible. Actual 0 reserve, huh? Well, not 0. It says 25. The bar is empty, though. Let's gamble that. I think we could win a higher reserve there. Nope. We just lost 5 points of wins. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. Okay. Flyers to one side. Unfortunately, we cannot... Well, there is a gate over here. We could put people way over to the side. It's a little bit longer of a run from here to the front gate. I think we're gonna do the close one because I want to get people into good defensible positions as quickly as possible, right up against the wall. Do we maybe actually? You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna grab all of the units that are not critical to the door breaking, which is to say everybody except the Carnosaur, and put them over here in the hopes of drawing a bunch of their guys away from this part of the wall and onto this part of the wall. Then we can sort of juke around them. Put you guys over here, put you right there. Okay. So how did they actually set up? They put... Okay, those are Iron Breakers, not proper ranged, so we can easily move all the flyers in over here, and then we'll figure out exactly what the plan is later. Where are... Okay, the quarrelers and the gunners are all on this part of the wall, so this has worked out splendidly for us. Carnosaur hits the gatehouse as fast and hard as possible, and you guys basically just over to here, I think. Like, we're going to take fire from this tower a lot, no matter what. There's nothing we can do about that. I guess, gotta get down to here, maybe? Yeah, I think that makes sense. And that way their actual ranged attacks will be wasted until they can relocate all those dudes, and hopefully we can catch them while they are relocating. Alright, everybody's got orders. Get on it. I'm a little worried about our chameleon skinks. This one unit of them is really torn up. Okay, we can largely just ignore the troops that we're seeing over here. Actually, let's have... What do we have here? These are Longbeards. They're pretty tough dudes. Longbeards with great weapons. Let's try to clear the wall as quickly as we can. You should... Where's their lord? Oh, he's all the way over here with all of the ranged units. That's probably pretty smart. I think... Let's not worry about him right now. We'll have the hero come over here and help with this stuff. And I'm just going to do some rock drops on these guys real quick. You guys. Alright, set up quickly. Actually, hold on. What kind of units are these? Quarrelers with great weapons. I'm wondering if we could maybe just rush them with the Ripperdactyls. These guys have 80 melee attack, but only 36 defense. They hit really hard, and they do have Frenzy. Versus these guys, who have 23 melee attack and 24 melee defense. If we sent like Tic-Tac-Toe over there with them, I wonder... We just knock these guys out and make it so that they don't have control of their city center. That might actually be a really good idea. Let's see if we can pull that off. Plus, the opportunity to wreck a unit of ranged before they can be a major problem for us is appealing, given how injured some of our flyers are. Okay, that's a pretty good start. They're fleeing the walls entirely, which is good for us. Pretty soon that's not going to be owned anymore. Do we want to expend any more bombs here? You guys... Sorry, not you. Where's the other... Here we go. Here's the other unit of salamanders. You guys maybe thin out through the center a little bit more. I just want to make sure that they're not getting tagged by the towers at all. Okay, and they're starting to bring units over. I think I'm going to throw the Toad Rage on. I think we would really want to have at these guys with maximum force. I'm going to drop a rock with him before we do that. And I think I'm not going to do any more rock drops over here. I think we're just going to throw explosives because we want some rock drops available for the rest of the ranged. Alright, we'll do one rock drop on this part of this formation. I'm going to avoid hitting my own units. And buffs up for everybody. Okay. They left a unit of ranged out in the open, and we have massacred them for it. They're losing control of their towers, although the tower is obviously still firing, which is ridiculous. Most of the way through the gate, we're probably going to want to be careful with the Carnosaur after this is finished. And what do we want to do with these guys? So dwarves are magic resistant, of course. How much? 25%? So I'm thinking that in this case, we probably don't want to do so much with the crows. This is definitely going to be more of a Pan's impenetrable pelt, curse of Anraher sort of situation. But we do have these bound fireballs, and we have literally no use for them except to fire them at enemies, so let's fire them at some enemies. Alright, and let's attack into these guys. It'd be cool if we could break a unit or two. And those guys are all bunched up in their allies as well. Yeah, we can do his rock drop now while I'm thinking about it. Let's see if it takes them long enough to gather up off the wall that we actually get them with this. Okay, that did some damage. Over here we have enemies incoming, and I have no intention of actually fighting them. I'm starting to see real ranged attacks over here, so it is time to refocus the ranged a little bit. They've separated their hero from the... or they've separated their lord from their ranged units a bit, so I think maybe it's a good idea to have our hero come over here and start sniping. We might pull the attention of these Thunderers, which would be a danger to us, but we can... he has enough hit points that we'll have time to run him away, I think. I guess one thing we have to think about is whether we do actually want these units to do a full retreat, or whether I want to like blitz over to here. We could try to catch those Thunderers. My concern is that, first of all, I don't want to fly into the Thunderer's cone of fire, and secondly, I don't really want the Lord to hit us in the back. These guys are far enough away from the actually dangerous units, although I guess there are Iron Breakers right there. We'd probably eat a lot of grenades. You know what? Why don't you come over here and try to catch these dudes on the wall? We gotta do something about the Quarrelers and the Thunderers, though. Maybe the move is that we just fly right at them. Just try to break them down fast. I'm going to summon a cheap Manticore on them. And we are, in fact, going to have these guys... yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. By the time they get over here, we'll see what it looks like. They're grouped up nice and tight, so the rock drops should be pretty effective. Although you guys do have to not be quite so spread out. Okay, that right there is exactly what we were saving our rock drops for. Where's the other Fire Leech Bolas? Let's get over here. The gate is open, and the situation on the ground is that they have a lot of dudes. Okay, we definitely want the Sauruses through first. Is that the... wow. What is going on with the camera right now? Okay. There we go. That's a little bit more like the formation I was drawing. You need to just get down here and... actually, no, go get those Quarrelers. Try to stop them from attacking for a moment. I think we have this other situation under control. Come on. Come on. You can make it. Alright, I think we've done some pretty good damage to their ranged units here. He does not have his buffs available again yet. I do want you to kill him, but try to do it in such a way as not to make yourself super vulnerable to those Thunderers. And, wow, these guys are already giving up, huh? Okay. Change of plans. They're definitely going to start shooting at the flying units we have over here. We got to back these guys up. If they want to shoot at me, they have to come into the melee. Alright, well, they're not even challenging us as we bring in our Sauruses. I appreciate that. Alright, focus on those guys for right now. That's the last group we need to break. You gotta back up. Come on. There we go. We finally remembered how orders work. The key thing that you gotta know about the orders is that they are not optional. Okay. It's hard to see exactly what the situation on the ground is because I have so many units in the air, but it looks like we can advance like this. We've got this little pocket safe, so I would love it if we could get the salamanders in here. Okay, that's definitely not Okay, it seems like whenever I try to draw a movement order inside, the frame rate is just like tanking really badly for reasons I'm not 100% clear on. And also it ignores... okay, hold on. I'm doing this in the hopes that they will... yeah, like that. But just further back. And there's no reason they shouldn't be able to do it further back, but whatever. Let's let them get inside and we'll figure it out later. And chameleon skinks can run through and form up right here. We'll worry about the rest of them coming in a minute once we've established some of those positions. This is going to put us right on top of that lord. Or right on top of that hero, which is a little unfortunate. Okay, they've already turned. We can send our hero back in. You know what? You know what? You know what? Maybe don't. Maybe change your mind. Just can't help but notice that there are some dwarves who would like to get engaged over here. Okay, it's just the manticore dying. Let's do some of this, and I can't help but notice that some of these dwarves are back. So I think what we can probably just afford to wrap around here, right? Like, they don't even have anything really to come from behind. I guess we don't want to wrap around on the back of these guys, because if we do that, we're just going to eat grenades from the Ironbreakers. What we need to do is go up there and challenge the Ironbreakers directly. You guys have done all of the work you need to do on this front. I think we should probably just send them over to have at the Thunderers. It looks like attacking the Thunderers with melee troops is not going to be a good idea. Let's bring the melee flyers over to here to participate in this. Try to discourage them from just standing there and shooting at me. Okay, you know what? You guys, finish this job. We're going to have to watch that, though, because we don't want them to stay committed too long. They seem to be remarkably bad melee combatants, so like I do not want them getting caught with the caught by the warriors with the great weapons. Okay, over here, though, let's do one of these. As soon as you guys actually commit. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Shift queuing attack orders just doesn't work anymore. Alright, Rampage, do it. And this seems like a fine time to bring the Carnosaur through. I had him chilling so that he wouldn't get soloed by a bunch of dudes, or surrounded by a bunch of dudes, but he is, I think, ready to actually join the battle. And our Temple Guards are doing remarkably poorly. Let's cheat this fight up a little bit here. The brand new and improved Wissen's Wild form for everybody. You know, he can go in on these normal Longbeards. They don't really pose a threat to him. Let's get the red-crested skinks and our cavalry in here and figure out what we want to do with them. And somebody over here should still have some rocks. Let's see if we can't maybe make use of those. Unfortunately, we're having a really hard time permanently breaking these dwarves. We're getting a lot of this nonsense. Hey, you two. Finish the job. Okay, at this point, let's try to stay on them. You can see our chief is slowly getting the job done. Okay, Carnosaur is getting real engaged. He just loves fighting. I think we got this under control. Huh. I didn't think he was going to have to fly over there to shoot a fireball. Okay, maybe he's not going to shoot the fireball. That's fine. Do one of these, then. Carnosaur's getting a little bit distracted, it seems like. These guys. Killed these guys. You know, God bless his heart. He's enthusiastic. Okay, I think we got all of the ranged troops actually pretty messed up. Try to make sure we're chasing these guys all the way out of the map, but I think this is about over. Yeah, they should not have moved their first army outside the gates. I do really appreciate the game giving me like an okay auto-resolve result, so we didn't have to sit through two very similar battles right in a row. Okay, so now we want to focus on, I guess, focus on these guys. I know the Iron Breakers are more dangerous, but they're also harder to kill. I'd love it if we could just thin these dudes out a little bit. Oh, they are not even trying to actually leave the map. Well, Tic-Tac-Toe can stay on them. Actually, you guys should probably help with that. Have the Sauruses, or the Salamanders set up over here, maybe? It's so hard to get them to behave in a reasonable way sometimes. Alright, don't let those guys approach you. Well, they are not stopping, huh? Never mind. They changed their minds. How on earth did one of my flyers just die? They don't have any units left that can hit ranged. Or that are ranged. Wow, what the hell? Okay, guys. I'm just trying to get you to spread out in a reasonable way, but it seems like whenever I have them both selected, and I try to draw a formation, it fails to draw the formation in a way that for some reason really impacts performance. Okay, I think we can probably make pretty short work of these dudes over here. The poison shooters come up this way. We can get a little flank on. Do the same thing with the cavalry. I'm a little afraid to engage the red-crested skinks with them being as wounded as they are. But if we can get the dwarves to commit this way, because they want to kill the salamanders, then we can set up a pretty easy flank, I think. These Iron Breakers are really seriously considering getting back into the fight. Tiktaq'to, could you handle that, please? Could you remind them? Okay, this is a very bad formation, by the way. This thing where a lot of them are just not engaged in melee, sitting back to be set on fire. If they're going to go after all these dudes over here, that also works pretty well for us. They're splitting their formation in half for no real reason. These guys should be broken pretty soon. I wasn't expecting you to run forward quite so much. Let's try to get our red-crested skinks out of the direct line of fire. Oh, a bunch of the flyers are out of ammo. You know, we can probably go toe-to-toe with these guys for a minute. I was going to let our cavalry get in and take the brunt of the initial charge. Alright. Like, dinosaur in on Dwarf Lord probably makes a lot of sense. We're going to run the Iron Breakers off the map in a moment. Okay. Hey, this is under control. Yeah, their lord is about to flee. That's a pretty good sign for us. Alright, that's Karakzorn down, and Tiktaq'to no longer has to be all the way outside of the campaign. So we do need to, just for a turn or two, hire a lord down near Rasetra so that we can reclaim it. That's probably going to be a little bit on the expensive side, given the cost of Lord number 5. Or Army number 5, rather. And then the cost of actually resettling Rasetra as well. But once we've done that, I think with the taking of Carrick Zorn and Rosetra and Vulture Mountain, we are over the number of settlements that we need to own in order to win the game. We still have to figure out what we're going to do about the Southern Badlands, though. That is a pretty ugly situation. And hey, look at that. The Riperdactyl Riders actually got quite a few kills. I was pretty surprised. I feel like the AI almost always leaves their lord and a couple of units back in the city center. It was pretty weird to see just some quarrelers handling it by themselves. And I mean, the thing you saw just now is why you don't often let quarrelers handle it by themselves. You'd think dwarves of all people would know the danger of that, because a Skaven strategy with the rats coming up right from under the ground would be extremely effective there. In fact, a Skaven strategy would be even more effective, because the Skaven would then actually be able to hold the ground as well. Ooh, that is a lot of money. You know what? We have a lot of money. We're fine. Let's just take this. Alright, Carrick Zorn captured. Carrick Zorn faction is destroyed. We got ourselves another Sacred Plaque Librarian. Ooh, some Gambler's Armor. That's pretty handy. Definitely get this gold mining pit up and active immediately. And we don't really need these recruitment structures. Let me think. What would we build instead? I'm assuming, yeah, that this is only of strategic importance to the Dwarf Realms. So we have a growth structure in the region already, but I think I might build another one, or I might just do this. Eventually it lowers the upkeep for all of the animal type units. Oh, and gives access to feral cold ones. That's interesting. There's a unit type on this luxury resource. Okay, we should probably start building that up then. Yeah, I'm just going to pull all of these out. We're not going to do any recruitment over here. Okay, so I do not want... no, this is not a mountain pass. Yeah, I don't want Tiktaq'to to have to come over and get this. I guess the best place to summon a guy would be Marak. This is pretty close. And I don't have to pay a cost to hire you, because we had you briefly before. Yeah, we are slightly negative for a couple of turns here. We just gotta get down here and resettle this. Unfortunately, the cost for resettling a place is pretty high if you don't have any military. And the more bodies you have in your army, the easier it is to do the thing. So, do we want to have him grab just like a couple units of red-crested? Probably they don't even want to be red-crested skinks. Really, we want the most basic skink guys. You'd only be able to grab 3 units. I'm not sure. The main problem here is I'm not sure if he actually can resettle this by himself. I guess this will be a good time to test that. We will find out. Alright, you keep heading in the general direction of those armies. You head for Orktown. Blazkak Manflaya. This guy has a pretty impressive army. Black Orcs are very tough. And I guess they don't usually have poison attacks. I'm assuming that's a thing that is being enabled by their sneaky Goblin Lord. A bunch of Orc Boarboy Biggins, a legitimate giant. Night Goblin Squig Hoppers. That's a relatively scary army. I hope that this weird agglomeration of factions are ready for that. Alright. So now we got to talk about what exactly is the plan for Vulture Mountain. We're not going to be able to bait them into coming forward to attack Eye of the Panther or anything. There's no sense in trying to set an ambush. I guess all we can really do here is just step forward. Okay, apparently almost everywhere we can stand here is suffering from mountain attrition. I guess that makes sense. We are in a mountainous region. So yeah, I can't actually get much closer without being in attrition mode. So I guess we'll move forward to, like, if we move forward 50%, we can stay in encampment mode, which does disable attrition. So maybe we have to, like, creep forward a little bit at a time until we're close enough to actually attack the settlement. That sucks a lot. But I do believe that is exactly where we're at. So it's probably going to be like another turn or two of that slow walk before we are close enough that we can just rush at the settlement. We're definitely going to want to be at full health. Oh, that's true. We do properly control this. I'm curious how much money we're going to gain when this technology finishes. Is there any other changes we want to make over here? Honestly, we don't need to build up all that much population. Well, we have to do 2 of these upgrades and then an upgrade to tier 5. But I guess we're not in a big hurry to get the tier 5 upgrade. We want these, of course, because we want to level 3 the financial buildings. But this settlement is already high enough to max out the gold mine. So, yeah, I don't think I care about putting up any more growth buildings. We maybe want to just hold off on spending a lot of money because I don't know how expensive the resettlement of Resetra is going to be. So you pay some number of bodies from your army plus some amount of gold. And the more bodies you're willing to put into the process, the less you have to pay in money. I don't know if it's, like I said before, I don't know if it is even possible to do a settlement with just a single guy, but we're going to find out. Presumably it would be very expensive. You're just paying people from other cities to come and move to the new city, I guess, is what that's supposed to represent. It is worth noting, Clan Morse is still alive, and we do have to kill them. They do have to die for us to be able to win the game. I really thought that they were on the verge of extinction many, many turns ago. Well, okay, we have military access from the Court of Liberis, and we also have military access from this tiny little dwarf nation whose name I've forgotten. So, actually, we don't have to cross dwarf faction land much. Maybe the fact that we don't have military access from them won't matter if we can, like, sneak through the mountains over here and get up into the orc territory from there. That might be what Tiktaq'to does. Rather than coming back west and joining the fights over here, he maybe just goes into orc land and starts blitzkrieging and conquering and stuff. His army is a pretty effective force. And he has so many campaign movement buffs that I'm sure we'll be able to dodge and juke around the orc armies, although the orc armies will have access to their underway movement stance, so they can cut us off through the mountain passes in ways that we might not be able to avoid. But if he's doing that back here while the dwarves or even our other forces are putting pressure on them somewhere else so that they can't devote multiple armies to catching Tiktaq'to, that might work. Yeah, unfortunately, it's going to be quite a while before we're done with the Siege of Vulture Mountain. I wonder if it's best to try to attack them in their settlement, or best to attack the army outside. Oh, interesting. That is an opportunity. Because now they only effectively have 2 stacks against our 3 if we can just get over here. And I'm not worried at all about this stack taking any of our territories over here. With the walls, they'll get into siege mode and they'll try to build up over a few turns. We'll have plenty of time to respond to that. So I wonder if we're actually in single move range of that city. If we're not, we're going to have to keep doing the creep, because if we try to get close to it, but we're not able to attack it right away, they're just going to bring their army back. And it seems like rogue armies must be bugged or something. We definitely should have seen many, many different rogue forces spawn by this point in the game. That's a real shame. Alright, income from mines and quarries plus 200%. We gained over 5,000 gold per turn from that. That's a really good technology. Okay, I probably shouldn't do another turn here, but before we stop, first of all, are we able to reach this in a single turn's move? Yes, we totally are. Okay, well, we are probably starting next episode with the attack on Vulture Mountain. And, of course, as is traditional for us now, before we leave, let's just check in with the dwarves and see if they're feeling like we could be friends. I will offer to pay you some significant amount of money. Probably not all the money we have, but let's say 3,000 actually. Let's try that.
Won't happen.
Okay, I might play with this a little bit off camera and try to see if there is an amount that I am willing to spend that they will take, because being allied with the dwarves would be really, really good for our position. However, for now, that is going to be it for us for today. Thank you all so much for watching. Come back next time when we finally put this dwarven menace to bed, and then refocus, for the first time in what feels like forever, on what we need to do to win the game. And we'll see you then.